people, let's say, if they really understood that, would just be like, I can't not do meditation. Because that's how I felt. When I learned that connection, I'm like, oh, game on. So how is that? Yeah, connecting the brain and body there with meditation.
Yes. Thanks for the question. I'm curious to the listeners, those who have meditated before and those who haven't. And my curiosity as a meditation teacher is, who's taught you how to meditate? How have you learned to meditate? And for me, I was working with a psychedelic facilitator. I had just graduated with my master's degree in marriage and family therapy, and we were doing some medicine work with people, and she gave me the homework to meditate. And I'd been a yoga practitioner practicing asana for 9 years on a weekly, I think I was practicing 5 or 6 times a week for 9 years, in a studio. I was obsessed.
Yeah. All in.
With yoga. All in. Specifically the Western style of yoga that I was introduced to. But that experience of asana really did something for me. Because I felt more calm, more relaxed, more open, less anxious, essentially, after these yoga practices. And this meditation teacher, this, psychedelic practitioner, she said, how's your meditation practice? I'm not talking about yoga. I'm talking about seated, formal meditation. And I was like, well, it's not I'm not doing it. And she
well, maybe kind of okay, none.
Yeah, I'm not. She looked at me sternly and she said, Eleanor, do you want to be a good therapist or not? And I said, well, of course I do. Are you kidding? I mean, I just spent 4 years in graduate school studying this. Of course I do. And she said, then you need to sit down on a cushion in silence and determine which thoughts are yours and which thoughts aren't. Because if you're confused, you are never going to be a helpful guide. I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay, well, I've never really meditated before. So what does that look like?
Hurry up and teach me, because I've been in school for 4 years and I'm learning all the things and I need that tool.
Exactly.
Straight up, right?
How did I not know this before? Okay. So she said, sit on a cushion and I want you to literally hold still and close your eyes for an hour every single day. I was like, an hour? I've never done this a day in my life. And she said, an hour. And I said, as a good student as I am, I said, okay. And I sat every single day for an hour. And the first day I sat, I felt myself probably I don't know. I was very much in the, how long has it been world? But I felt myself lift out of my body and really drop into a deep place. And what I now know, studying meditation, this was in 2018, so many years ago now, but what meditation does is it actually allows for us to have neuroplasticity within our brain. So what is this? Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural pathways and connections that allow for us to improve cognitive and mental flexibility. So when we are able to think new thoughts or say, ooh, is that my thought or is that their thought? And what are my thoughts? And I didn't even really realize that I was thinking, but I was. And she said the one piece of homework that my teacher gave me was, So now that you're aware that you have all these thoughts going on, meditation's not about not thinking. Of course we think. It's just about noticing, oh wow, look at there's a thought. It's going by.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there's another thought. And the more quickly we can notice that we have a thought and then bring ourselves back to something like our breath, for
Mm-hmm.
example.
Yeah, notice the
Then
thought, but then like not react to it, right? Because all the thoughts and all the things and all the chatter, especially for those like you mentioned who haven't meditated before, like you're talking about your first time, it's like, can you notice the chatter and can you hang with the chatter that is your own mind? Because I remember, when I first started meditating, it's like you have an itch. And then did you do the laundry? And then did you do that? And did you think about this? And what's that noise? And is that a hair on your shoulder? Is that a fly? And do you need to like
why am I thinking about my
everything?
fourth grade teacher?
Yeah. Right. Like where did my exactly, or why did I all of a sudden get angry at somebody, and your body's going to be like, okay, we can't get her to move with memory. Okay, let's get her to remember of that angry time that person did that thing to her and just, and it's like that breaking up and then the getting back together of the brain and body that I love.
Yes. Yes, and it's a simple, for at least mindfulness meditation. I'll just preface too, there's thousands of ways to meditate. I could talk about
Okay.
this topic forever, but what I teach is mindfulness. And what mindfulness means is doing what you're doing while you're doing it. So for example, when you're brushing your teeth,
Okay.
just brush your teeth. Feel the bristles on your gums. Notice what it's like. Notice the little buzzing sound. And just be with that. That's it. No thoughts. No like making the bed at the same time or going to the bathroom. Just brush your teeth. And we just start doing what you're doing while you're doing it. And it just starts practicing. I think one of the things that that leads us astray in this world is this idea that we need to multitask, that we need to be doing so many things at one time. Gosh, I remember I went to an event called Habit Hackers. And in Habit Hackers, they were like, okay, so I want you to brush your teeth and I want you to do squats. And then I want you to go to the bathroom and read the news and be making your smoothie at the same time. And that's how you should start your day. And I'm like in learning this meditation practice. And I'm like, no.
That visual reminds me of the little mouse on Cinderella that tries to gather all the corn and then he has it all stuck under his teeth and then it just explodes. The little guy, Gus. That's what it reminds me of. When you try to do all the things and then you're like, and it's on. It's like that little mouse that tries to get all the corn and then it all flies everywhere. And you're just like, I wrote, as you said that, I had to pull out my notebook and write down, do what you do while you're doing it. It's fucking gold.
Right? And what regular meditation practice does is it improves our attention span. And it also allows for us to strengthen a muscle of focus, which increases, from a scientific perspective, it increases the gray matter regions associated with learning, memory, and emotional regulation. So sometimes we feel like we can get hijacked by our emotions, and meditation allows for us to stay in this gap. Like you said, gives us a spaciousness right in between thought and response. Viktor Frankl has a really powerful quote that says something to the degree of, in between the thought, there is a gap, a stimulus and a response. There's a gap. And in that gap lies our